Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.
The sole argument?
The issues, I think, across the board are very similar. We are trying, each and all of us are trying to get the government of Guam to act within the parameters of the quarantine that they themselves have established. These people are suffering physically and mentally, but they're also suffering a constitutional injury.
Bringing the matter to light, attorneys Jackie Terlahi, Tom Fisher, and Rachel Azuzu are before Superior Court Judge Elise Uriarte this afternoon, arguing for their clients' civil liberties, alleging they did not consent and were compelled into the mandatory 14-day passenger quarantine in GovGuam facilities.
The fact of the matter is that we each represent our clients, and we have to do the best that we possibly can for each of our clients. Now, has a DPHSS engaged in conduct that is so arbitrary that this travel quarantine should be modified? Perhaps. That's the question that the court has to answer.
The court determined to consolidate the cases in order for witness testimony and cross-examination to occur once. The first case heard late this afternoon was petitioner Janella Cruz. Representing the government, Deputy Attorney General James Canto calls Cruz up to the stand to testify. Cruz testified she was at the airport baggage claim area to pick up her 2 minor children traveling in from Saipan. She says in speaking with Public Health prior, she was informed her children may quarantine at home, and there would be random inspections from DPHSS. However, she says on the arrival date, law enforcement forced Cruz and her husband to decide who would get on the bus to the quarantine facility with their children. Otherwise, the minors would be placed in the facility with strangers. Cruz and her 2 children are in day 10 of their quarantine at Dusit Thani. She is represented by attorney Azuzu.
And in Ms. Cruz's case, the same thing. It's a resounding concern that the government has deprived these individuals without due process. And the court was very clear in the EGROS decision that Public Health has done exactly that since sometime in April.
As reported in the EGROS case, the court ruled the government is required to use an involuntary quarantine process rather than a voluntary quarantine process. Since the Office of the Attorney General filed a motion for reconsideration, arguing the voluntary quarantine is valid under Guam law. According to the OAG, quote, the voluntary quarantine process is not only expressly or authorized by law, but preferred before resorting to exercising involuntary quarantining powers, unquote. The court has set a motion hearing on this matter for September 25th. As for the remaining petitions, the hearing continues tomorrow morning in Judge Uriarte's courtroom.
We cannot sacrifice civil liberties in the face of this pandemic. It's the lawyers just love to use this phrase, a slippery slope. Well, this one is extremely slippery. It's icy. If we allow ourselves to just give up civil liberty because we are afraid, well, it's hard to say where that's going to end.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Adriana Cotero.
Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.